My beautiful people, welcome back to the Moments Podcast. I think that it's been an entire month since we've sat down and recorded together. That's kind of sad. I've been a little bit all over the place, both physically and mentally. I'm really coming off of a full week of being sick, like basically bedridden sick. I went to Mexico for my bachelorette trip and I got really sick. All five of us, actually. Well, five of us that were on the same flight. Two of us were fine. So we think we got into something like at the airport or one of the restaurants that we ate at. It's besides the point because we came home. I was fine the whole first day that I was home. And the middle of the night, that second night, I was down bad. I had to sleep in the bathroom multiple nights. I have just been going and flowing out of every end you could imagine. So that was fun. So that's been me the past week or so. But previously to that, I was just traveling and I've also just been a little bit Mm, my brain has felt a little bit stuck. I have felt a little bit stagnant. My mental health hasn't been the best. It hasn't been the worst. I've been like honestly so happy pouring into. Sorry if you guys hear the garbage truck going by. I'm just going to let it go. I've honestly been like really happy pouring into things in my life that I feel like really matter at this time for me, my relationship, my family, my experiences. I've been living very in the moment, or at least trying to. And I think that kind of throws my brain for a loop because I'm so used to being both in the moment and also on top of my work and just staying consistent and continuing to just share and do social media. And I think for the first time, I'm like weirdly struggling with that. And the balance has been like extra difficult for me. And I don't know. I just like don't really know what I'm doing. And I think a lot of us don't really know what we're doing. And I think that's fine. And I think that's a beautiful part of life. And that's not what this week's episode is even about. But I just thought I'd touch on it. If you're feeling the same, you're never alone. We're all just figuring it out, especially at this age, post grad, sort of early 20s. Everybody's at a different stage in their life. And we've talked about this before. I'm sure there's tons of episodes on it if you do want to go tune into one. But maybe next week we can deep dive into it a little bit more. I just wanted to share that with you, just to give you guys a little insight into my life and also hopefully give you a little hug and a little reminder that it's okay if you feel the same. There's so much more to life than, feeling like we're on top of the world in our career and we're super successful. Sometimes life is just about being in these moments where that's not the priority, where family is number one, where you get me. What I do want to talk about in today's episode are things that you should ask yourself before you marry someone, or we could also call it how you know he's the one. I feel like a lot of people often reach out and DM me like, "Oh, like I'm dating this person and do you think this is okay? Or do you think it's a bad thing if they do this? Or how did you know that you wanted to marry Gabe and so and so and so and so?" And the reason that I had never really made a video or an episode about it, and I'm sure I've made episodes similar. I've done green flags episodes, I've done things to ask yourself before you're in a long-term relationship with someone. I've done episodes similar. But I just never really got around to it. And then this past week when I was sick, I just like saw an entirely new side of Gabe that like completely melted my heart and exploded my heart and made me like re-fall in love with him, even though I'm doing that every single day. And it just made me want to make an episode about this because I think there's a lot of surface level things, and don't get me wrong, a lot of these things will be surface level things to ask yourself, but there's a lot of things we hear people say like, "Oh, make sure that they're nice to you," or "make sure that they do this or do that," or whatever it may be. But I just want to go through like some of the things that I've recently realized now that I am married, which is still so crazy. Like these are reasons why I feel confident to be with this person for my whole entire life because these things matter and they will matter for the rest of my life, not just right now, not temporarily, not while we're 20 and 24 and 25 and you know what I mean. Like these things are going to be things that are going to be important for life, you know? And that being said, I think the first thing that you should evaluate is how does this person, this partner, Even if you're not with somebody right now and you're just tuning in to tune in, like these are things to look for even before marriage. These are things you just want to have in whoever it is that you're dating or spending your time with. How does this person care for you when you're sick? Okay, there's a lot of people who are in relationships where like if one person's sick, they're just like, "Oh, that sucks. Can I like make you a tea or something?" And honestly, like I kind of before I had experienced someone like Gabe, I thought that was like normal and that's kind of just how it goes. But when I was sick, Gabe was like literally my right hand. He checked on me 24/7 when he would come home from work. Like he's a personal trainer, so he has clients and then he comes home like a bunch of times throughout the day. So it's not like he was gone all day and then just comes home and checks on me. Like every time that he would get home, like every hour or so, he would just literally do anything that he needed for me, rubbed my back for hours on end, and just like really, really cared to see me get better. And a lot of these things might seem really, some would say obvious, depending on the kind of relationship that you're in. But I've witnessed one too many relationships in my life where the bare minimum is like not met. And people stay in relationships where they are not properly cared for and loved. And there's so many reasons why people do that, because love takes over us, it blinds us, it helps us like, or it makes us just not be able to see what we deserve sometimes. And I think also, especially when you've been with someone for a long time, like these things, the bare minimum becomes lower and lower. You know what I mean? So if these things sound obvious to you, that's a really good thing. That means you're probably in something really beautiful. But anyways, be with somebody who cares for you when you're sick, who like loves you and hugs you and holds you and just like will never call you. I'm telling you, I felt so dramatic this whole entire week because I needed to open my suitcase so that I could try to unpack, and I could not do it because I was so exhausted. And Gabe was like, "Okay, like he did everything for me, everything," and he does that even when I'm not sick. But it was really special to see, you know, in all the moments that I was being so hard on myself and like calling myself dramatic. I think in a lot of cases, like someone would be like go along with that, you know, feed into it too. But not Gabe. No, he just comforted me beautifully. It was so special. Like it was the sweetest thing ever. But that's what made me want to do this episode in the first place, because it was like a little thing like that you don't really think about too much until you experience it, and then you're just like, wow, I married the right person, or oh wow, maybe I am not with the right person, depending on how it goes. The next one is going to seem very obvious to some, other people maybe not. And I put it really high up at the list, not that this is in any particular order, but it was the first thing that crossed my mind because I think it is one of the most important things that matters when you get into a relationship with somebody. Some would disagree. I think that you and your partner, for the longevity of your relationship, need to be politically aligned, whatever way that might look like. I think that being with somebody who does not see the world the way that you see the world is not always going to be the healthiest, long lasting. A lot of people can make the argument that like politics don't have anything to do with your morals, like they're just politics. I couldn't disagree more. I think that the way that you see, the way that you want the country to be governed, I guess you could say, the way that you want people to be taken care of, or whatever it may be, matters a lot, because it's also going to affect the way that, you know, you want to raise your kids, what you want to teach your kids, what morals and standards you want to set when you raise a family. And I just think this is very important. I have like enough friends that I can count on two hands. Not necessarily friends, people I know. I don't even have enough friends like to count on two hands. I'm just kidding sometimes. But a lot of people stuck in relationships where they do not agree with how they see the world and how they view politics and who they want to see run the country. And I'm not going to go super into detail on it, But like, you don't have to stick around with somebody who doesn't believe in what you believe in and who doesn't want to fight for what you want to fight for, because you can have someone who does. I think that's been one of the coolest things. Like, not only do Gabe and I see the world the same, but like also both of our families. And it's really beautiful. Politics are like such a heavy topic and such a heavy conversation. But like, when you both believe in the same things and you want to see the world change in the same way, it's pretty empowering and it's really special. And I think that you should not stick around with some loser who doesn't want to see the change that you want to see in the world, whatever that may be. Like, I'm not trying to make this a political episode. It's real. It's what we got going on, you know? The next one is make sure that you're with somebody who meets you where you are. Okay? I think when you first get in a relationship with somebody, sometimes you're at your best. Like, when I got with Gabe, I feel like I was at a really high point in my life. Okay? My mental health was on top of the world. I was like really locked in on my career, on my schedule. Like, I was doing the thing. And obviously, that doesn't always last forever for me. If you guys have listened to this podcast for quite a bit of time, I have these kind of loops. I go through these cycles, and it's really scary when you're with somebody for the first time going through one of those low cycles, because you're like, oh my gosh, they're not going to love me anymore after they see this side of me, or after they experience this, like, these emotions from me. Because, I go through these episodes of darkness, of sadness, of stagnantness. And I think as I get older, the cycles become smoother because I know how to expect them and prepare for them. But not when I first started going through them. And especially when Gabe and I first started dating. And like, I remember the first time that I went through this, I was just so scared. I was like, what is he going to, like, he's not going to like me anymore. How could anybody like me when I am this sad, But when you're with the right person, that person will just pick up the pieces that you can't pick up. Whenever I am at my lows, Gabe, not for 1 second, gives me a hard time about it. He immediately just picks up all the pieces that I can't pick up. He picks up the slack. He takes care of me and comforts me. And again, this goes back to like how someone cares for you when you're sick. Like, never makes me feel dramatic, never makes my feelings feel crazy, never makes me feel crazy, just constantly comforts me through every low that I face. And I think that's really important in a relationship, because life is going to be heavy. Life is not always going to be easy. You have no idea what cards God has in store for you, what he's going to deal you. And I think that if you're with somebody who struggles to comfort you in these moments that are, in the grand scheme of things, pretty minuscule. Like, I think when we think about what we go through at this point in our life is a lot less severe than what we may go through when we're like full grown, even though we are full grown adults. But when more things come into the picture, when kids come into the picture, when we have to go through these times where unfortunately maybe we lose our parents or our siblings or our aunts and uncles and grandparents, like, once we have to start, and not that we haven't faced some of those things now, but you know what I mean. Life, unfortunately, I think only gets harder. And I think it's really important to be with somebody who can handle these, like, quote unquote, easier moments of you and like be there for you and comfort you. And without a doubt, they're going to be there for you. I think it's very, 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 very important. Which kind of leads me into my next one, which is loves you the most at your worst. This is one thing that I think is so key, because I think, especially as females, when we are in a phase of not really loving ourselves, because we all go through it, we all have those moments, we all have a hormone cycle, but aside from that, like, we're girls, okay? Even if you're a dude listening to this, we all have these different phases of life. But when you're feeling down about yourself, when you're feeling unhappy with yourself, like, it is really, really easy to just have like any little comment keep you on the ground. At least for me. Like, I hold on to negative things so much more when I'm already in a low state of mind, when I'm already feeling certain ways about myself. Like, everything that anyone has to say, like, will just beat me down into the ground even more. And I think that if you're with a partner who even subtly makes jokes or makes comments that like only emphasize how you're already feeling about yourself. And I think I want to emphasize too that every single relationship is different. The way that every single relationship works, the way that you communicate, the way that you joke, the way that you build each other up and break each other down, like every single relationship is going to be different. So like all of these things might align for you only in some ways, in some bits and pieces. Like you might be listening to this and being like, well, when my boyfriend makes a joke about me feeling like crap about myself, like it actually makes me feel better. And that's wonderful. Then this one might not target for you. It's the beauty of unique different people and unique different relationships with unique different things, period, you know? But for me, I think it's really important to be with somebody who is only going to build you up when you're breaking yourself down, not push you down even further. And a lot of these kind of come back to the same exact conversation, to be with someone who builds you up. That's how you know that that's your person, you know? But in different ways, of course. So choose someone who only makes you feel better when you're feeling low. Like when I'm down about myself, I'll constantly just be walking around being like, I'm so ugly, I hate myself, in less severe ways. But it's kind of what I'm getting at when I'm not feeling the best. And instead of Gabe being like, shut up, stop saying that, like being annoyed, he always meets me with reassurance, because that is something that I look for in a relationship and in a partner. And I think that this, like I was just saying, like every single relationship is different. Every single person needs to be picked up differently. So I guess the question more so is like, does your partner pick you up in the way that you want to be picked up when you're at your worst? Does he meet you with the love languages that are important to you, that you feel like you need? Maybe words of affirmation do absolutely nothing for you. Maybe you're all acts of service, or you're all physical touch, or you're all gifts, you know? Does your partner learn the way that you want to be loved? And does he love you that way? It's great to be with somebody that loves you in the way that they want to love you. But like long term, how do you need to feel love? Gabe and I both need to feel love differently. So we've both met each other at our spots, you know? Like I love him differently than he loves me, because I love him the way that he needs to be loved, and he loves me the way that I need to be loved. If that makes any sense. The next one is speaks highly of you always. I think that a really, really, really important thing in a long-term healthy relationship is that, for me, nothing pisses me off more when I'm with like a group of people, even if these are like really long-term married couples, and the husband or the wife just like makes these little digs and these little stabs and these little jokes about their partner. I think there's a time and a place, of course. But when I'm like meeting people for the first time and they start like dropping these little digs at their partner, I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you speaking so lowly of this person that you're married to for 20 years? I don't know. That might be personal preference. I think it also depends like what you grow up with. Like, I feel really grateful that I had the parents that I had, and I love the way that they love each other. But even sometimes now, like my dad will make jokes and they just piss me off. I'm like, what was the point? Like, why did you say that? Like, why would you? I don't know. I don't want you talking about mom that way. Even though it's usually, again, I can be sensitive. It's usually very small things. But I just think like a really key sign of a healthy relationship is just always speak highly of each other, especially in new group settings or in group settings in general. Like, this is your partner. This is supposed to be your best friend, your life partner. Why speak negatively? Why not just be positive about this person? If you've chosen the right person, if you love each other truly, like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but choose somebody who speaks highly of you. Don't be with somebody who goes out with their friends and just like talks crap about you all night long and then like comes back and wants whatever he wants from you. Like, You don't have to be in a relationship like that. You don't. You can be in a relationship where you are with somebody who like screams your name off the rooftops because they love you so much. It's there and it can be yours. And I think that's a really big one for me, truly. This one's a little more niche, but I like the niche ones. Learn to your cycle, okay? If you're one of the girlies and if you have made an effort to even learn your own cycle, I think it's really cool to be with somebody who wants to understand that too, rather than just kind of, again, making you feel like crap for going through the motions of being a female. Like makes you feel like crap for having to struggle and go into these like small depressive episodes because of what our hormones have set up for us. Instead of just like calling you cranky and crabby and like crapping on you, like be with somebody who wants to learn and understand why you feel that way and wants to learn and understand like what can they cook for you that's going to make you feel better at this time in your cycle. Like how do they handle arguments and miscommunications at different phases of your cycle, and like what phases of your cycle are you going to have the highest versus the lowest sex drive. Like be with somebody who wants to understand you on the inside and out. And also, if you haven't learned your cycle, you should do that because it is game changing, life changing to know what you're going to feel and when you're going to feel it. It just really helps like set you up for success and gives you the freedom to create a schedule that's going to set you up for success. So I highly recommend. But even if maybe learning about your cycle isn't your thing, like whatever is, be with somebody who wants to know more about what you want to know more about or what you've learned more about. But if you are into your cycle and your partner wants to ignore that, for me, that's a red flag because their life, and Gabe says this all the time, once he learned and understood my cycle, it made his life a million times easier because he just knows when not to mess with me, when I'm just going to be mad at him for probably nothing for like a day or two. The next one, gets along with your family, but not just gets along with your family when he has to, when they have to, but gets along with your family and wants to really be friends with your family. Gabe and my brothers are best friends now, and it's the most beautiful thing. Gabe and my dad, best friends. Gabe's family and my family, best friends. Be with somebody who wants to make the extra effort to get to know the people that raised you and built you up. And if this is the person that you're going to marry, like be with for the rest of your life, you want these people to get along. And not just because they have to. Again, this is one of those things, everybody's family dynamic, everybody's family situation is different. Not everybody's going to have the luxury and the privilege to have both families get along at extreme capacities, but be with somebody who makes the effort. That's what really matters. The next one, chooses you always. Okay, I think this is where a lot of people will be like, no, sometimes they should choose their friends. I think, yeah, when you're dating somebody, friends are very important, of course, and they're still extremely important when you marry somebody. But I think once you break through that chapter of marriage, your partner always comes first. Always beats friends. That doesn't mean you don't spend time with your friends. It doesn't mean you don't like have time apart and do things on your own. Not at all what that means. But it means if your partner needs you, you're choosing them before you're choosing a round of golf. Different when you're dating. I think that when you're dating, you don't, also depends at what point you're dating. You know, if you've been together years, I think partner comes first. But I think if you've been together a few months, sometimes friends come first. And I think that's like a line and a boundary that you only start to navigate after you've been with somebody for a long time, because it's just weird and it's a hard thing to figure out. But I think once you marry somebody, you should always be number one. And I think that you need to make sure that you are with a partner who puts you number one, who you feel confident would choose you over whatever it may be. Okay, who wants to continue to date you, who wants to spend time with you, which actually brings me into my next one, which is wants to do everything together. Okay, again, some people will hear this and be like, oh my gosh, no, you have to have time alone, you have to have separate hobbies, you have to have different friend groups and such and such. And yes, I agree. But that doesn't mean you should be with somebody who like physically doesn't want to be with you. Be with somebody who would be over the moon joyful if you did have to do every single thing together. Everything. Because you should be with the person who loves you so much that when they aren't with you, all they want to do is be with you. Okay, when you're finding somebody who is going to be your life partner, that is the feelings and that is the emotions that they should invoke in you. Truly. Which is actually leading me into my next one. Be with your best friend. You've heard this a million, trillion, gazillion times. But marry your best friend. And like when I say your best friend, I don't just mean like a friend that you get along with and you like have a little fun with. Like you should laugh until your stomach hurts with your partner. You should be able to do the most outlandish things. And your partner should like laugh with you and have fun with you. You should never feel like you can't fully be yourself in front of the person that you marry. I've seen countless relationships where either partner like wants to just have fun and laugh and be their goofy selves, and their partner just like rolls their eyes at them or just brushes them off. Be with somebody who celebrates you in every single aspect of who you are, in your cringy jokes or your weird dance moves or like whatever it may be. Someone who celebrates those little things about you, okay? Because you are never, ever, ever going to be too much for the right person. And you should never forget that. And vice versa. You should love every weird quirk that your partner has. Like, I love every single thing about Gabe. There is not one thing that he can do that makes me feel embarrassed of him. Like, I love him I'll scream it from every rooftop forever until the day that I die. He is my best friend, which is like weird to say because I never really understood. I had never had a real relationship before him. I had like one boyfriend and I've talked to a couple guys, but like when I would be in those relationships or flings, I would be like, I don't know how people say date your best friend. These guys would never be my best friend. When it's the right person, he will. And I will say too that took time. In the beginning of your relationship, like you won't feel comfortable enough to fully be yourself right off the bat. At least not for me. I had a really hard time opening up. But once I finally got to that point where I could open up and be myself, gosh, it was just like the most beautiful thing in the whole entire world. Date your best friend, marry your best friend, be with your best friend. And if you're not with your best friend, really evaluate what's going on, okay? Maybe it's just like a blockade that you've set up, a boundary that you've created. Or maybe this person's just not your person. And that's okay too. Don't stick around with somebody that isn't your person, because this is life we're talking about. I think people tend to forget, especially when they've been in really long-term relationships since they were high school, college, and they're like, oh yeah, like I've been with this person for 6 years, I'm definitely going to marry them. Ask yourself if you'd rather go through a heartbreak now, do something that's really hard right now, or if you'd rather live your whole entire life with somebody that you don't really think was ever for you, and you know that in the back of your mind. It's a hard question and it's a hard conversation, but it's okay to have grown apart from people that you've been with since you were young. It's okay to want different things in life, but you don't have to like want different things in life and stay together. You don't. Next, marry somebody who takes interest in your hobbies. This goes back to like learning your cycle, because that's something that's important to me, but like also I want you to evaluate all of these things, and I want you to make sure this is the kind of partner that you show up as. I think it's really easy to focus on like, oh, does this person do this for me? Does this person care about me in this way? But we never really check ourselves enough to ask, like, do I show up for my partner this way? Because that's key too. Okay, you want a relationship that is healthy both ways. You don't just want to be perfect spoiled little princess, but you don't care at all for your partner, because it's going to be really hard to find that. It has to be meeting each other in the middle and going above and beyond for each other, both sides, you know? So find somebody that takes interest in your hobbies. For example, Gabe loves Star Wars. Do you think that I liked Star Wars? Not even a little bit. He made me watch all 9 movies with him. Guess what? I love it now. And even if I didn't love it, I would still watch with him whenever he wanted to. because that is something that is important to him, something that he loves. And I want to love what he loves. Okay, he loves surfing. I love watching him surf. Make an effort to create a world where you guys can both do the things that you love and you can both enjoy them and you can both support each other. I think it's fine to have hobbies that don't align with one another sometimes, but make sure that you still support each other in them. Do you know what I mean? It's just going to make life in the long term much better. Okay, you don't want to slowly build these lives where they're separate completely. And you don't cheer each other on and you don't support each other, because like those little bits and pieces only add up over time. Okay, you only put more of a barrier between you and your partner when you don't communicate the things that bring you joy and when you don't share your hobbies. Be with somebody who likes the same stuff as you. Honestly, like don't marry somebody who has a completely different vision for life. And if you love the beach, don't marry somebody who hates the feeling of sand in his toes. It's not always going to be healthy. Okay, 2 more things. How you know if you're with the right person, you shouldn't have to ask. Obviously, that's different than listening to this. Like, I would probably listen to an episode like this just because I think it's fun to listen to. But, like, you shouldn't be wondering in the back of your mind for long periods of time, do I actually, like, think this is my person? Because if it is your person, you will not have those questions. Okay, I will definitely say in the beginning of Gabe and I's relationships, when we're dating 3 or 4 months, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, is this the person I'm going to marry? Like, I had a lot more hesitation really early on in our relationship because, you know, there are so many conversations we hadn't had, so many experiences we hadn't had. But I would say by like month 6 of being together and facing like life together, it didn't go through my head one more time. I didn't doubt one time if this was the person for me, because I knew in my heart that this was the person I wanted to spend my life with. That doesn't mean everything is rainbows and butterflies all the time, but in the moments where we're facing the opposite of rainbows and sunshine and butterflies, in our darkest moments together, were actually the moments that I had the most clarity that this was the person I wanted to spend my life with. I always loved the way that we argued. I loved the way that we fought. I love the way that we communicate through hard things. We both listen to each other. We both respect each other, and we both compromise and grow together. In your darkest moments with the person that you are with and with the person that you're wondering if you should be with, that should be the clarity for you. You shouldn't have to constantly be wondering and asking like, oh my gosh, am I going to marry this person? Because if you are, that question in itself is your answer, you know? The last thing that I have is that you have to communicate everything, okay? You will know that this is your partner if you are both willing to communicate every single thing, okay? Down to the smallest of things that upset you, bother you, used a word wrong in a sentence that made you feel uncomfy, unhappy. Be able to bring those things up. And be with somebody who is also able to bring those things up to you. But when you bring those things up, how does your partner respond? Do they get pissed off that something so teeny tiny bothered you? Or do they say, oh my gosh, let me work on that, I'm so sorry? Or explain to me why that made you feel this way. Be with somebody you can just talk to, where not everything has to be a ginormous argument. Or if it does become an argument, can you settle it? Can you both make an effort to settle it, not just like push it to the back burner and be like, whatever, we're over it, let's move on. You should never have to do that. You should be able to settle every single thing that you face. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it's not like a 5-minute argument. Some days it's 5 days. Sometimes it's 5 weeks before you can like really understand where each other's coming from. But are you both making an effort to do so? And are you with somebody who is giving you that because you deserve that? That's how you know. And that's all that I wrote on my little bullet point list, but I'm sure that I could make a part 2. This is just kind of like what I threw together this morning as I was making this outline and thinking about this episode. But yeah, I think every single person deserves to be with somebody that loves them in every single detail of the person that they are. And I think that everybody deserves that and everybody can find that. But don't settle. Don't settle for somebody who doesn't give you that. And don't be the reason that somebody is settling when they're not getting that. Okay? Show up as a partner and expect your partner to show up for you, you know? But I love you guys. I will be back in 2 weeks. I'm never going to go a month without dropping an episode ever again. I had some technical difficulties a couple weeks ago, and then once I had those difficulties, I was like, I'm not doing this. I cannot record, because I also realized, like, mentally I wasn't in a good place too. And I think that that's probably for the better. God was like, just take a break. Let it go. The podcast will be there waiting for you once you're ready. And yeah, maybe next week we will talk about just feeling stagnant, feeling stuck, trying to figure everything out. It's been a mission for me, but I love you guys so much. Tune in on TikTok, on Instagram, wherever else you want to find me. And yeah, let me know what you want to hear. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a comment. I really love you guys, and I'm so grateful for your endless support and kindness and just like love that you give me, because I'm so grateful for you, and I would not be where I am today if it weren't for you, and I would not have any desire to keep going if it weren't for you. You guys like light me up so much, and I love you with all my heart, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.